What's up, people? It's hashtag homeless. Your boy Adam, back at you. Day 35. Pretty sure it's day 35. My battery is very low right now. I've had a pretty busy morning. And so if the video just randomly stops in the middle of a sentence, I'm going to upload it just like that because it is what it is. I don't got time to sit here and do something fancy. It's getting easier as time goes by to do these videos. The hardest part of this whole process of doing these videos every day is the actual upload of the video to YouTube and the other platforms. Even on a public Wi-Fi, whether I use the phone to do it, whether I use Wi-Fi to do it, whether I, whatever access I have. Upload speeds are a lot slower than download speeds, and that goes with most people's home internet, your broadband connection. You might be pulling down 100 megabits per second or higher, but then you look at your upload speed, it's like 5 to 10 megabits. And when you're trying to push a 4 gigabyte video file upstream, it takes a while. It takes hours. And it's not hours that I have to sit there and babysit the process, but it's hours that I have to check in once in a while and see if it got stuck. When you're uploading to YouTube, I'd say every third video that I post to YouTube, it'll get to like 90% uploaded and then it'll freeze. So there's 2 hours it took to get to 90%, and then it just sticks and it gets stuck and it won't move anymore. And the only way to get it unstuck is to completely delete and cancel the upload and start from zero and do it again. So that is the biggest bottleneck in the process right now with the way that I'm doing everything. And there really isn't much I can do about that. The only thing that I could do that would stabilize things or make it better is to have a roof over my head and a permanent desk where I can sit with my laptop and start recording videos with a different camera and pushing the files up with my laptop, and doing horizontal format videos instead of these vertically held phone videos. But whatever, one day at a time, one step at a time. Just take baby steps. You're never going to climb Mount Everest if you stand at the bottom looking up at it thinking, how am I going to climb this thing? But you will get to the top if you keep putting one foot in front of the other and, one hand in front of the other, and, you'll get there. You may not get back down because it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to go up Mount Everest than it is to come back down. But right now I'm just trying to climb. Let's see. So this morning I thought I was going to be sitting at the Department of Social Services all day long. I had to go to another busy work appointment. When you sign up for this stuff, that's one thing you need to know. If you're ever in a position where you need to sign up for this stuff, your life is going to be full of appointments and sitting in waiting rooms and waiting in lines and filling out forms. It takes a lot. They demand a lot of just busy work out of you when you're going through this. And they do it for accountability. They don't want it to be a free-for-all that people just take advantage of. So I'm not saying that I disagree with their policies or whatever, but it gets frustrating when you're trying to spend your time wisely. But I'm taking half an hour out of my day to do this video if the battery lasts, or less. So I'd go to lunch. I do take breaks. But I was expecting to sit there all day today based on what I had to do, and it turned out they had me in and out of there in an hour. But keep in mind, I was there as soon as they unlocked the door this morning. If you get to a place like that bright and early, you're going to have a lot better time getting in and out quickly than if you show up at noon. I've had to go there at noon or in the middle of the day for different reasons, and it's packed and there's lines and it's much crazier. You go there at 8:30 when they open their door, there was me and one other person there. And by the time I got through the first line, there were maybe 5 people in line. And then I had to get back in line. There were 3 people ahead of me. And it went fast, and I I looked at my watch. I was in and out from the time I walked in the door. It was 55 minutes. So that was good. I'm glad that's over with. I can focus on the day ahead of me. Had a really good job interview yesterday with the CEO, the president of this company. Turns out they have about 450 employees, not 4,000 like I think I was told, or maybe I just misheard something in a previous interview. But that was a better, I like, the smaller the company, the better for me. The smaller the company, the more autonomy you have, the more likely they are to hire you to get your job done. And they don't care how you get it done, just do it. This is the kind of place where they're going to say, we need this, this, and that. Go do it. Come back when it's done. If something gets in your way, if you get blocked, come and see me, we'll get it unstuck. Other than that, not only do they expect you to get it done, but they expect to leave you alone and not have to babysit you and not have to check in with you. They expect that if you need to check in, you'll check in. And that's how it is at smaller companies. When you go to the large, tens of thousands of employee bureaucracy kind of companies, they're more concerned about following some corporate process than they are about getting the actual work done. I was telling you guys in a story the other day about how I would sit in 4-hour-long meetings about whether a button should be green or blue. And that's a true story. 50 or 60 people sitting in a conference room and some people dialed in on Zoom to argue about whether a button should be green or blue for 4 hours, and most of these people are making at least $50 an hour. So that's a $10,000 button on a website by the time it's all said and done, maybe more, just for a button. So imagine what the entire website costs by the time, or the web application. Imagine how much it costs when the submit button to a form costs $10,000. And that actually happened to me at 2 different companies. Okay, the same incident took place twice. The first time that it happened it was a real long time ago. And it was a conference call, and I was supposed to meet a friend for lunch that day. And so here it is, it's noon, and and this time it was orange versus green instead of green versus blue for the button color. But it was the same. It was a different financial company, different. It was also a very large bank, different than the bank that this had. This always happens at banks. So I was supposed to meet a friend for lunch, and this meeting is still dragging on. They're still arguing about whether it should be green, whether it should be blue. I'm just sitting there rolling my eyes going, please make up your mind. I'll change the button color in the templates and we'll be done. And then it's just going on and on and on. So my friend gives me a call on my cell phone, and I answer it. And I'm sitting there talking to my friend, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to be able to meet you for lunch today because I'm in a room with a bunch of idiots who can't decide whether a button should be green or blue. Sorry. And before I know it, there's about 20 instant messages popping up on my computer screen saying, Adam, was that you that just said that? Whoops, I forgot to hit mute on I thought the mute button was pressed on my desk phone. But turns out the mute button was not engaged. And, did I get fired for that? No. I continued to work at that company for a few more months, and then I just left because another opportunity came along that was much better at a smaller ad agency, and I was going to be doing some really cool work for them. And so I put in my 2 weeks and I left with proper notice, but, most of the people thought it was hilarious, but I was getting all kinds of instant messages popping up on my screen saying, hey, you might want to hit your mute button there, homie. But this is what happens at big companies. So the fact that this company is small, nimble, doesn't seem to be a lot of politics, I think it would be a great place to work. And this interview was scheduled for an hour. And 30 minutes into the interview, the president says to me, he's like, well, I think you'd be a really good fit for this company. So do you have any more questions for me? And at that point in time, when you reach that point in the job interview, it's time to just, like I just said, I'm the kind of guy who can put my foot in my mouth real easily. So when you reach that point in a interview, just zip your mouth shut and don't drag it on. Don't push that timer to the full 60 minutes. So I looked at my list of questions that I had thought of to ask this guy. And I asked one more basic question, and he spent 5 minutes answering it. And then I said, well, I'm good. If you're good, I'm good. Let's, nice to meet you. Thanks for the opportunity and everything else. And we parted ways. And so that was great. It was another talk-only interview. I didn't have to make any presentations. I didn't have to show my work. They've already reviewed that. I think the decision's already been made. The person who I interviewed for the second round was the person who's going to make the decision about who she wants to bring on the team. And so from here, it's just meeting people and formalities. And I think I've got to go through one more round of interviews, but I'm going to be a lot more relaxed about it. In fact, after that interview yesterday, my whole body, all the tension from head to toe just completely drained all at once. Like in a span of about 30 seconds, all that nervous energy and all of that stuff that I've been feeling since Sunday. It was really starting to kick in on Sunday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and all the way up until that interview yesterday was just... every little thing was getting on my nerves. But, getting woke up at 4 a.m. for an obnoxious fire drill and having to go outside and stand in a parking garage, that was enough to drive anybody insane. But at the same time, yesterday I had a nice talk with the director of the place, and even she admitted to me without me having to say anything. She's like, yeah, that had to suck this morning, huh? And she kind of just, and she actually had a conversation with me about the same stuff I was talking to you guys about how, it would, she's trying to reinforce to the people that work there that, the people that come in here are broken and they need more than just a place to stay, and they need to be treated like human beings and things like that. So, it was a great conversation. I'm not going to spend 20 minutes here talking about it, but they do care. It's just, this whole situation is so frustrating that every little thing gets under your skin and starts to wear you down more than it should. I can also look back at the first day I went to the shelter when I left the apartment that I was living in after I was kicked to the curb, and going through that whole toxic situation. I was completely out of my mind. And by the end of the day, I was able to just relax because I had a place to sleep, and I had a place to take showers, and I had a safe place to store the belongings that I was carrying with me. And I was so grateful for that. But now it's been a month. It's been a month and some change. And so little things start to just add up, and frustrations, and the whole, you found a job, but we took it away the day before you start, and the probation's coming and saying, this is more than 2 weeks ago, probation comes to me and says you have to pack your stuff and move to Pittsburgh, but we don't know when, and they still don't know when. It's been more than 2 weeks, and I know there's a process and paperwork and all that kind of stuff, and I don't think anybody's doing this maliciously to try and, put a wrench in my machine and jam up the gears. I just think it's a process that they have to follow, and they just wanted me to know in advance so that I could prepare for it. But it's hard. Some aspects of that are making this situation difficult. The unknown, the not being here or there at this point. So I made up my mind to focus on, I'm applying for jobs in Pittsburgh now, but they're jobs that I have to send a resume and a cover letter for. And in the cover letter, I get to explain, I'm in Jamestown, New York right now. I'm relocating to Pittsburgh very soon. So that way, if they want to call me in for an interview, I have that covered already. I don't have to dance around with this whole, I don't know when I'm going to be there. They might be willing to do something over there. If they're interested in me based on my resume and cover letter and my website and other different factors, they can call me and we can do interviews over the phone and then set something up for when I'm in Pittsburgh. And if I have a firm date or a firm, lead on a company, they might let me go down there and do the interview, and I probably have a way to get there. It's just, I hope this job that I interviewed for yesterday comes through, but I'm probably still going to have to go through another interview, wait another week, get a formal offer in my hand that's almost 99% sure it's going to come with a criminal background check, and then I'm going to have that conversation. And so I've been interviewing for this job. I've been going through this gauntlet with them for closing in on a month. And I could get all the way to the finish line and get to where the tape is across the finish line and slam into that tape so hard because it's a metal bar and not even cross the line. I could get that close and just have it all shot down. So I'm trying not to think too far ahead. I'm trying not to plan out how I'm going to get a roof over my head and all that stuff. But this job would solve most of the financial problem. If I get this job, it would solve a lot of problems, allow me to get on my feet really fast, and it would allow me to turn around and give back to the people who are giving to me and to do something better and to turn this channel into something better than here's what this homeless guy's up to today. So I'm going to leave it there. I had to turn the screen brightness way down or I'd kill the battery. So I can't even see how much time this video is dragged on. I never do the plugs. I don't like every single person on YouTube. What do they got to say? Please hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe. Ring the bell and all that stuff. Because it really helps with the algorithm. And check out my shop at shop.litgood.com. You can look at one of 4 glorious photographs that I have for sale. I would say sometime this weekend, if I do go to the coffee shop and work sitting in front of the Wi-Fi, I'm probably going to try and upload at least 4 more images and build that store bit by bit to the point where I want to get to the point where there's a couple hundred good photos for sale. And if I never took a photograph for the rest of my life, I have tens of thousands of photographs going back 25 years that are still unprocessed and not ready to show people. So I could spend the rest of my life editing and processing the photos that I've already shot over the last 25 years of my life, and I would never finish. By the time I die, I still wouldn't be able to finish even if that was my full-time job. So anytime that I have a day or two that I can just sit back and chill, that's where I'm going to put my time. The job interview, I think, I've done what I can for this. The next interview I may have to prep a little bit for, but at this point it's a downhill. I've crested the top of the hill with this interview process, and it's just a coast to the finish line at this point. And really, the only thing that's going to stop me is if they look at my conviction and say, no, we don't want that guy. And that very well may happen. So I can't believe they've gone this far without looking me up on Google. That blows my mind. I look people up on Google when I'm doing an interview just because I want to see, do they have what do they have out there? I'm not looking for dirt, so to speak, but I do type people into Google when I'm about to do an interview. Just check out what I find. Everybody does that. So maybe they're just busy. I don't know, or maybe they did and they're willing to look past it and they haven't said, but it's just, there's going to come a point in time where it's going to have to come up in conversation. And so until that first paycheck is in the bank and I am paid, the job's not real. Even if they hire me, even if I get through the process and actually start on my very first day at the job as an employee, Even if that's the case, even if that happens, I still won't count it as real until probably 1 or 2 paydays go by and I'm still there. Anything can go wrong. So I'm not worrying about it, but I won't believe it's real until it's really real. And with that, I'm going to head over to the library, get back on that Wi-Fi, get back to doing what I have to do. I've got a lot of things I got to get done today. Got a lot of resumes to get out the door. And I'm going to upload this video, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.